Jagrata, Jam Masters. If you want to travel somewhere that you've never been, it's good to have an idea of how to get there. Or you could get very lost, and it could take very long. It's the same thing with spiritual growth. Just because you're not there yet doesn't mean it's not good to have some idea, some direction of where you're going. It will help along the way. That's why there are great masters who are way higher than us, who've evolved to a very, very high level, and they teach. They've left teachings behind throughout centuries and generations. Great ones who have achieved much higher states than almost anybody have bothered to leave behind a roadmap, pathway, not chiseled in stone, do this, don't do that. Just a direction of getting a reasonable understanding of where you're going. So let's do that. But we're going to do it backwards. What all of them, doesn't matter what tradition, what century, what time, the great ones, and I call great ones the enlightened ones, the realized ones, the very high ones, have all taught the same thing. The teachings are very, very deep. What's the essence of the highest teaching? The essence of the highest teaching is there's only one consciousness in all things. There's a thing called consciousness. What is that? It's magical. The floor doesn't know it's there. Your body doesn't know it's there. You know your body's there. You know the floor is there. Stars don't know they're there. Planets don't know they're there. You know they're there. You are this thing called consciousness. You have consciousness, awareness of being. It's hard to even contemplate the difference between consciousness and what consciousness is conscious of. We call consciousness a subject, and everything else is an object of consciousness. If you look at your hand, you're not looking at you. You're looking at your hand. Even your language says that. You say, your hand, my hand. My is a possessive pronoun. The question is not what's going on with the hand. The question is, who is it whose hand it is? Who looks at that hand? Consciousness does. It's always the same answer. Awareness of being knows what it's aware of. I swear, if you want the deepest teachings, you just heard them. It has nothing to do with anything else. The deep teachings have nothing to do with anything else. They have to do with the fact that you're it. Tag, you're it. What did God say to Moses at the burning bush when he asked, who are you? What's your name? And God said, I am that I am. That's what you are. You are the one that is. If you say, no, I'm the one who played Dorothy in my 5th grade Wizard of Oz play, no, that's not who you are. That's what happened to you. That's what you experienced. If you weren't conscious, you wouldn't know what happened. Let's just spend a moment with that. I can turn off anything in front of you, and you'll know it's gone. If I turn off consciousness, you don't know squat, and you never will. Consciousness is the beginning and end of the most important thing in the universe. If you're not conscious, why bother being here? You're having no experiences. They're happening, but you're not conscious of them. So this is the most important thing to talk about. Consciousness, awareness of being. All people want to talk about is what I'm conscious of. I got a new car. How do you know? I'm conscious. I'll tell you what, don't be conscious, and I'll give you a new car. What did it do for you? Nothing. Meher Baba, the great enlightened master, he told it like this. Every single thing in the universe is a zero. That's a lot of zeros. Every spot, every moment, all of time. How many zeros are there? My God. Well, none. Because you have all the zeros you want at zero. He said, take the number 1 and put it to the left of those zeros. All of a sudden, they all have value. They're all worth 100 billion, zillion, quillion, trillion. That 1 is consciousness, awareness. None of it has any meaning until there's awareness. So that is the beginning and end of all deep knowledge. You know what a car is. You know what your hand is. You know what your house is. Do you know who you are? Do you know who it is that sees the house? Who it is that sees the car? Who it is right now that's looking at the hand? Sure, anatomy and doctors and biology can study the hand. They can tell you everything about it. But they can't say who I am that sees it. So yoga and all the deep spiritual teachings are not about the hand. They're about the consciousness that sees the hand. Understand that. That's what spirituality is about. The study of consciousness. First you start with, I'm aware of the objects. Who am I that's aware of them? Then you get this thing called your center of consciousness, becoming established in the seat of consciousness. What does that mean? It means instead of being lost in the objects of consciousness, and we'll talk about this, we're going to build it all the way up. Instead of being lost in the objects of consciousness, you can maintain a center of awareness that is aware that I'm aware. Of course you see your hand, but are you aware of who sees your hand? Of course not. You're too busy, oh look, there's lines. Oh my God, I'm getting varicose veins. You're too busy getting caught up in the object to pay attention to the subject. Beings who have worked on themselves, they're not more conscious. Consciousness is consciousness. Consciousness is consciousness. There's not more of it. Either you're conscious or you're not conscious. The question is, are you conscious of being conscious? That's what Krishnamurti called objective observation. That's what you guys nowadays call mindfulness. It's called witness consciousness. You're aware that you're aware. It's kind of like, I talk about this in the Untethered Soul, there's certain kinds of dreams called lucid dreams. I'm sure everyone at some point has had a lucid dream. What's the difference between a dream and a lucid dream? In a dream, you're in there. You wake up, oh my God, I had a nightmare, I was so scared. You woke up, oh, it's so beautiful. I got married in my dream. I wonder if I'll meet them, right? In other words, you're in there, lost in your dream body, lost in the dream world. There are dreams in which you know that you're watching the dream while you're asleep. You know I'm in there and there's an awareness, I'm dreaming. Have you ever had a lucid dream? That's kind of like what we're talking about all the time. You're aware that you're aware of what you're aware of. Words just can't do it. But I say there's an object of consciousness and there's consciousness. So one major step in your awakening is you become aware that you're aware. I'm aware. I don't just see the pillow. I'm not thinking I'm aware. I'm just aware. I have a seat of consciousness and everything is coming from that seat. That's not such a high state. That's called becoming established in the seat of self, being centered at all times. The masters are way past that. Okay? And so it's good that they tell you about it. Well, how could you be way past that? Now I am consciousness. Yes, but your individualized consciousness, why am I individualized? Because you're only conscious of you. You're conscious of your thoughts, your emotions, your body, and what's coming in through your senses. And in your mind, you've stored what used to come in through your senses. Everything's still about you. It's still individualized. Consciousness is not individualized. Consciousness is consciousness. That's it. If I stand at the ocean, and I'm in New York City, and I stand at the ocean, and I'm, I guess, France or England or wherever, I'm looking at the same ocean. You can call this your ocean, right? But it's not. And the water's the same. There it is. Consciousness is consciousness. It's not yours. Your car is yours because your consciousness identifies with it. You are the consciousness that's focusing on the car. That's why you say it's my car, if you get to focus on enough. But if you're just the consciousness itself, nothing belongs to you. It's just something you're aware of. Okay, fine. What's beyond that? When it stops being individualized. I talk about, there's a deep teaching called Nonduality. That's dualistic. I'm here and I'm separate. I did body, but you understand thoughts are the same. You're aware of your thoughts. You're aware of your thoughts. Otherwise, how do you know you're having them? It's the same thing with the physical world. Wouldn't it be nice not to be aware of your thoughts? Feel like a vacation from yourself, all right? But your consciousness is aware of your thoughts. That's just another thing that consciousness is aware of. Thoughts. You're probably aware of your emotions. Probably you said things like, oh my God, you hurt me so much. Or, I love you so much. Same. Just an emotion that you're aware of. Was it the same you who noticed that your heart hurt as the you who noticed that your heart has wings and is open? Is it not the same you? You can even do it this way, right? I was feeling so much love for you. I was filled with love. Then you did that. Now I'm scared. The same person is in there experiencing this. You're experiencing your thoughts, good ones and bad ones. You're experiencing your emotions, high ones and low ones. You're experiencing your body, sick, old, young. There's the same you. There's only one of you in there. But that is individualized consciousness. Why? Because it's only being conscious of this tiny little object. I used to call it a couple of feet wide and about 6 feet high. That's how much space it takes up. Out of what? Everything. The whole universe. There's just this little dinky thing there. I'm important. No, you're not. It doesn't even use much space. It's a 2 by 2. You can fit in a 2 by 2 square. And then it goes up 6 feet. Give me a break. But your consciousness focuses on that. It focuses on your body, your thoughts, your emotions. Therefore, even if you come back to witness consciousness, which is a very good state, better than being lost in all this stuff, you're at least aware. Okay, I'm aware, and these are my thoughts, this and that. Okay, the great ones, the following happens. Well, I'll go backwards. I usually do this at the end. When you get to that point where you're aware, the world can't touch you as much as it did before. Why? Because you know you're not it. Nothing can touch your consciousness. The body's young, the body's old. That's just something I notice. How about you? The thought goes, I don't want to die. Something I'm aware of. Oh, I can't wait till I die. Something I'm aware of. It has nothing to do with you. You're the one who's aware of these things. So now you're not identifying with the object of consciousness. You're aware of it, and you're going to find out that you can still do things and interact perfectly fine and have a nice, beneficial effect in the world. It's not renunciation. You're not renouncing anything. You're becoming something, not renouncing things. But you are aware at all times that I'm not what I'm looking at. You have to learn how to get along with yourself. You learn to get along. It's called in the world, but not of it. You're in here, but you know it's not you. That's it. And you say it all the time. I broke my arm. My toe hurts. Whose? Why are you using possessive pronouns? Because you know you're not it. Your intuitive experience is, I'm in here and the toe's out there. And it's mine. It's not your toe, it's my toe. So whoever is in here aware of it takes ownership. But you're not the toe. If we cut the toe off, are you still there? But that was my toe. That's me. No, it's not you. Now you're the person without the toe. Okay? You are the indwelling being. You are the consciousness, the awareness of being. You are not your thoughts. You're aware of your thoughts. You're not your emotions. You're not your emotions. Not love, not hate, not jealousy, not fear, not acceptance, not rejection. No. These are things you're aware of. Some are higher than others. Some are more fun than others. But there's still things that you're aware of. So what made the masters masters? We can achieve that state. It's not easy for people to do it. Most people don't do it, but some do. So what's going on? The masters sat enough in that seat to where instead of being aware of the object of consciousness, they became aware of the consciousness itself. Every object of consciousness has a quality, has a nature. It's hot, it's cold, it's big, it's small, it's young, it's old, as a quality. Okay, your thoughts are good, they're bad. Same consciousness. That's not what the quality of the consciousness is. That's the quality of the object of consciousness. What is the quality or the nature of consciousness? When you stop being addicted to paying attention to the objects of consciousness, consciousness becomes conscious of itself. It's conscious, so it can be conscious of itself. And everyone that reached that stage said the same thing. Ecstasy, nirvana, put whatever word you want to it. Consciousness has a nature. I love the way that the yogic tradition calls it. They have a word in Sanskrit. It comes back thousands of years before Christ, with the Upanishads and the deep writings. Sat Chit Ananda, eternal, conscious ecstasy. That's not an experience you're having. That's who you are. That's the nature of your being. Right now, that's the nature of your being. What is looking through your eyes is ecstasy. Now we'll talk about why you don't feel it. If you are depressed, the lowest you've ever been, you know who's noticing the depression? Satchidananda. It doesn't ever go away. It will never go away. It is its nature. It's your nature. Why? Because everyone has the same nature. Consciousness is consciousness. Now you might want to ask, I would like to feel some of that. We'll get there. We're going to talk about what the masters taught. First, that is the same awareness that is looking down through your eyes at your thoughts as looking down at his and hers and everybody's. That's it. There's only one consciousness. There's only this thing called consciousness. And it looks through different objects of consciousness. Therefore, it sees itself as separate, because it identifies with what it's looking at instead of identifying with itself. Well, the great ones, the enlightened ones, the avatars, what happened with them? As they sat long enough, they went into caves and they did all this stuff to let go of themselves. You don't have to do it. They only did it so they could tell you about it, so you can know who you are. And they let go, and all of a sudden this ecstasy started. As you let go of what you're staring at, you get to know who's staring. And you actually feel this ecstasy. It's not a thought. It's just waves of ecstasy pouring through you. And they're so strong that you can't look down the way you used to. Why? For the same reason, if you're madly in love with somebody, you don't want to go have dinner. You want to sit with them. You want to just stare at them. What if you felt overwhelming, ecstatic love pouring out of your heart? Somebody said, hey, you want some pizza? Stop disturbing me. I'm experiencing the most beautiful thing I've ever experienced. Of course I don't want anything else. I'm already experiencing everything I ever dreamt of. That's what it's like when you get back here. Except it's way beyond human love and way beyond pizza. The best pizza. And you just start feeling this. You're not doing anything. You just feel, the Bible calls it the rush of holy waters. There's this upward rush of energy, and it intoxicates you, and it's beautiful, and it pulls you into it. And where the great ones went is it pulled in so strong that they couldn't look down at their personal self anymore. It was too beautiful. It was too rich. And they learned over time to fall back into it. And the ones that actually fell fully back into it, it was like a vacuum cleaner. It pulled them up into the source of consciousness. We've talked about the objects of consciousness. We've talked about the seed of consciousness. Now we're talking about the source of consciousness. Everything comes from somewhere, and guess what they call the source of consciousness? What you call God. What you call the absolute, the infinite, the oneness, that which Mayor Baba, they asked him once, he was fully enlightened. He was so high he couldn't come back down. He went so deep, he said, my consciousness was a drop of water staring down at myself. When it pulled back, it fell into the ocean. Find it. Find that drop of water once it falls into the ocean. I don't think so. It took him years. He went to the perfect masters to come down, not to go up. Mayor Baba said it took 5 perfect masters in 5 years for him to come down enough out of that absolute blissful ecstasy to be able to teach, to be able to do the work that he did. Don't be scared. Don't worry, you won't go there. But basically, what is the source of consciousness? That ocean. And Mayor Baba, he took silence after his full enlightenment, but he would write on a chalkboard, or he had a letter board that he would do. But they asked him, who are you? Who are you? And these were people that believed in him, that understood, that had seen who he was. Who are you? And he said, I was in the beginning, before all else was created, and I will be in the end, after all else falls away. Never was a time I was not, and never will be a time that I am not. That's who you are. That's who you are. That's the source of consciousness. That which always was and always will be. Just infinite, eternal consciousness. So now we're going to talk about what I wanted to talk about. That's your starting point. Well, where did I take the wrong turn? I said, what do you mean? That's my starting point. That's where you are right now. That which is looking through those eyes, that was hearing me through those ears, is that consciousness. Focus down on you. So why can't I experience it? Well, in order to know why you can't experience it, we can talk about what happened when you focus down. And the great ones teach this. The first thing that happened when you focus down is you started to look at a single individual body. 2 arms, 2 legs, stomach aches and headaches, and you just looked at a body. And what happened when you looked at that body is you identified with it. That's a very important thing to understand about consciousness, and you already know it. You just don't pay attention to it, but we will by the time we've done here. Consciousness, if it focuses on something enough, if it concentrates, these are the right words. What is concentrating? Concentrated consciousness. The focus is no longer universal. The focus is like that. Like the sunlight is everywhere till you hold a magnifying glass in front of it. Then it's just down there in that one dot. The consciousness is everywhere, but it's focusing down on you. When it focuses down on you, it becomes aware of the messages from the body. It comes in through the senses and so on. Well, consciousness, if it focuses enough, identifies with what it focuses on. And you do it all the time. The minute you focus your consciousness on something, it becomes mine. Either I like it or I don't like it. It becomes part of you. You own it. Well, consciousness does identify with what it focuses on, especially if it focuses strong enough. Why would it not? Here, if I'm only focusing on my hand, that's all I've ever done my whole life, is look at my hand. It's like imprinting. You'll study biology, animals can imprint. A duckling can imprint on a swan, or even a dog, because that's what it focused on. That's what it focuses conscious on. It thinks it's a donkey. A duck thinks it's a donkey. Tries to make the noise. Does all kinds of, it walks with them. It's adorable. It will walk like them, right? So consciousness, if it focuses on something at the exclusion of anything else, imagine that. The only thing I ever looked at was my hand. Hence I was born. All I ever looked at. What do you think I am? A hand. If I focus on my body, what do you think I am? This body. And so you take on this individuality because the infinite consciousness, God, focuses on this one single thing. The great masters teach that that's the birth of ego. When absolute consciousness is in ecstasy, there it is. It's ecstatic, infinite, eternal awareness of ecstasy, Satchidananda. When it focuses down on the body, it identifies with it and becomes individualized, and then says, who am I? I knew who I was, but now, who am I? It must be terribly uncomfortable to be absolutely everything and then become this tiny little, picky little thing. And then you sit there and say, who am I? And you start to define yourself as the experience you're having. I'm the one that my mother holds. Notice my mother. Even that. I'm the one that sleeps in this crib. I'm the one that has this toy. This is the birth of ego. If you ever want to transcend ego, you better know where it came from. And we better start to understand how strong it is. It's not a toy. So you have lost your sense of self. Why? Because you're focusing on something other than self. I'm hand. That's a good example, right? If all I do is stir in my hand, I'm hand. Not you, I don't see you. There's nobody in my universe but a hand. There's no one in your universe but what's coming in through this body, including what's coming in through your senses. But that's not very much coming through your senses, you understand that? Every moment that something coming through your senses, there's 800 billion, zillion, quillion things not coming in through your senses. This is where duality comes from. This is where the personal self comes from. The sense of being, which is what you are. You're the being. I am that I am. What does that mean, I am that I am? That's all I can tell you. I always was, I always will be, and there's nothing other than me. I just am that I am. I am the I am. And when that focuses down on the body, now I'm no longer I am all that was. I am this. And then this receives input from the senses, but that's the only input it receives. So I'm the input that came in through my senses. That's all I've experienced. I'm not blaming you. Don't get guilty. It's all you experienced from the day you were born as it came in through your senses. So whatever came in through your senses, you identified with. My mother, my father, my crib, my this, my that. But underneath, you're lost. And guess what? You know it. I don't care how rich you are. I don't care how popular you are. You're scared. Like, I thought it was beautiful. I saw an interview between Julia Roberts and George Clooney. And he was so beautiful. They asked him, do you ever feel any nervousness when you take a part? He said, do I ever feel any nervousness? That's all I feel. And anyone who claims they don't is lying, and they won't be very good at it. You just feel fear of failure. Can anybody relate to that, feeling fear of failure? Even in your relationships? Even with your spouse? Yes or no? Can we be real honest? That's because you've separated yourself from who you really are. You know who you are, not intellectually, but there's this sense that this is too small, and we'll get that. We're building the ego. So when the consciousness, which is God, which is the absolute, focuses down on the finite, real finite, your body, it needs to find itself. And you've spent your life trying to prove yourself. You spent your life trying to decide who you are. The words blow me away. Trying to find who you are, that's like a non sequitur. That's something weird about that. Who are you that's trying to find out who you are? Why don't you just be you? Because I don't know how to. Because my consciousness is focusing down on form. And so you try to define yourself. Because you don't know who you are. You're lost. So I have to define myself. It makes it more comfortable if I define myself and then I prove myself. I could just say that to you and you should start crying. Have you not done that your whole life? To define yourself and then prove yourself so that everyone else accepts who you define yourself as? That's what you call success. It's really failure. The Bhagavad Gita says the following thing. That which is the lighted day to the man of the world is the darkest night to the yogi. That which is the lighted day to the yogi is the darkest night to the man of the world. Why? Because I just said to you, what you call success is failure. Why? I've managed to define myself and get other people to accept what I define myself as. I define myself as this, and by the time I get to be 28 years old, I have 2 children, and and I own a Tesla. I used to say Ferrari, but now you all want Teslas. And you're just defining what you want to happen. And if it's happening, you say, I win. You won what? You're going to die, and nothing's coming with you. And yet you define that as winning. A yogi doesn't define it as winning. The yogi defines it as losing. You wasted your life. Nothing happened. Winning to a great being is reaching these higher states to where you realize who you are, and it will never change. So basically, you're down here now. You fell from the garden. How's that? You fell from an absolute state of absolute ecstasy at all times. The world can still exist. You can still see it, but you're just in ecstasy. That's a nice place to live. But you drop down into this individuality. It's called self-knowledge. That was the tree of self-knowledge, wasn't it? You fell from the garden because you ate of the fruit of individuality, of self-knowledge. I am separate from everybody else. Basically, your consciousness focused on the individuality too close. You got lost. You got lost in here. And you started to say, who am I? And then, like I said, you started to define yourself. This is very important. You started to define yourself as the experiences you had. I'm the one that did this. I'm the one that didn't do that. I'm the one that was really nice, but I'm the one that hurt so-and-so. Oh my God, I feel so guilty 30 years ago. I'm the one that didn't make it to my mother's deathbed. I tried, but there was a hurricane and the planes wouldn't fly and I felt guilty ever since. You just defined yourself as the person that didn't make it to your mother's deathbed. That's nothing to do with who you are. That's an experience that happened that you weren't able to handle. And because you weren't able to handle it, you kept it and focused on it. Just like staring at hand. There are people that have had experiences that define their life. And not necessarily good ones. They became fixated. You're into psychology now. But psychology doesn't start from God. It starts from, you're this, that's who you are your body, you are these things. You need to learn to cope with these things. You're an individual. Stand up. Be strong. Okay? That's not the truth. The truth is you're the highest thing that walked the face of the earth. You got lost by staring at this body, and then you started to define yourself as the events that happened to you. All right, so now we're down here. We fell down into this, and we started to define ourselves as that. I just talked about this weird thing of defining yourself as your experiences. Somebody else gave a name to that. They called it your self-concept. Do you have one of those? Isn't that what psychology calls it? It is that which your consciousness kept and defined yourself as. You don't define yourself as everything. I'm the one who saw that leaf. No, you don't do that. You define yourself as the things that are impactful to you. I'm the one who married this. I'm the one who the husband died. I'm the one who this. Is it not true you defined yourself as the events that happened to you? I'm so-and-so's wife. I again ask, if that's who you are, so-and-so's wife, that's who I am. I know nowadays that's not politically correct, and I'm really glad. I'm so-and-so's wife. Who were you before you met him? Didn't exist? How can you define yourself as an event that happened to you? Yes, it happened to you. Yes, it's beautiful, I hope. But the net result is it's not who you are. You are the one that experienced that event. You're the one that experienced every event. And it's the same you that experienced all of them. When you were 10 years old, did you have any experiences? Was it you that had the experiences? Weren't you conscious? Weren't you aware? You haven't changed. You're it. Your mind changed. You grew up. You have different views. Those are your views. Can you change your mind? Has anyone ever changed their mind? Then don't tell me I'm the one that believes this. You're just looking at it, and then you got lost in it. And you defined yourself as it because you got lost, and I don't know who I am. So now I know who I am. I'm the one who's pretty, and I'm a woman, and I'm this, and I'm that, and I married so-and-so. But then we got divorced, and I'm the one this, and I got married twice. I. Just write it down. You did not write who you are. You wrote down what happened to you. Which you. So notice you're still in there, but boy, did you get lost. And that is what your ego is. Somebody once asked Yogananda, what is the ego? He said, the masquerading self. Now, based on what I just talked to you about, do you understand that? You, the consciousness, pulled a mask around yourself, built out of the things that happened to you, and you now present that to everybody, including yourself. This is who I am. All right? That's why we meditate, guys. That's why we learn the deeper teachings, because it is not who you are. And what happens to ego? Ego is a problem. Ego is not a solution. Ego is a major problem. Why? When you define yourself as I am so-and-so's wife or so-and-so's husband, you're in trouble when they leave you. You're in trouble when they hold hands with somebody else. Why? Because you defined yourself as that. And now it's challenging. It's just not challenging some little thing. It's challenging your definition of yourself. Have any of you ever been in, usually it's relationships, but it could be money, it could be something, people are into different things, but usually it's relationships, where you get in real close, you completely define yourself as that. That is the foundation of my life. That is who I am, that is what I'm doing, it's what I'll always be doing, nothing else, any other meaning to me, this is what it is. And then something happens. Somebody leaves you, somebody dies, whatever the heck it is. Have you ever broken inside? Has anyone ever gone the complete shattering that the floor fell out from under you and you don't even know who you are for a while, and maybe a long while? Isn't that beautiful? Most of you have had experiences that strong. Of course you have. You defined yourself as something you're not. You defined yourself as a situation, as an experience. And then when that goes away, you don't know what to do with yourself because it all broke. That's ego. You know what Christ said about that? Don't build your house on sand. That's what you did, didn't you? You built your house on sand. Why is it sand? Because it can fall out from under you. Because it's not solid. It's just something you held together. But he signed the marriage license. I always ask people, here you are standing at the altar on your wedding day. All right? Do you all agree that soon you'll get divorced? And not talk to each other ever again and hate everything that ever happened? No, that will never happen. Oh my God, who's willing to talk honestly? You have built your house on sand. And it's not your fault, and don't feel guilty about it, and don't be scared. That's not how you work with this. You don't tear it off, you don't throw it away. It doesn't work. At least that's my experience. But you start, remember I started talking? Get a roadmap. Doesn't mean you're there yet, but you can at least understand what's going on. You now have a real deep understanding of what's going on. You are the infinite, absolute, ecstatic being that's looking down and got lost at what you're looking at. You think you're your body. And you even, when your body ages, you don't like it. Isn't that funny? You don't just think you're your body, you think you're your young body. Even though you're not. No. And then you don't even like your body. It's just hilarious. I don't even have to talk about this. That's crazy. Your body's going to get old. It's going to get varicose veins. Your memory won't work as well. You're going to get all these lines in your face. Your hair is going to turn gray or fall out. No. Yes. So you can't even handle, not even right now, even though it hasn't fallen apart yet, you can't handle the thought that it's going to. And you do everything you can to make it not. That's just hilarious. And you don't just do that with your body. Because you identify with your body, you use your mind to build the concept. What is a self-concept? Is a self-concept the self? No, it's a concept of self. You didn't know who you were. You lost yourself. So I'll build a fake one. I know people that various times in their life, and they've told me straight as though there's nothing, they weren't embarrassed at all. They just decided, well, this isn't working. I need to build another one. OMG, if that doesn't tell you it's not real, I don't know what does. I decided to do a makeover of what? Your face, your clothes? No, of me. I just wasn't getting the acceptance that I wanted. That is ego. That's ego. It's false. It's not real. Okay, why does it do what it does? What's it like to live with ego? Now that you understand what it is. You got one, don't you? You've identified with something that's not you, and you built the concept of self inside. It's very, very difficult to live with an ego. It's very difficult. And I'm not talking about an egotistical person. That's child's play, that someone's more egotistical than somebody else. All right? It's the fact that you are identified with who you're not, and you've defined yourself as that, and now you have to do what? Make sure it works. And I don't even lecture, I think every one of you know what it means. You have to sell yourself or hide. You have to hide yourself or sell yourself. You have to go out there and have lots and lots of friends who all accept you and honor you. And on Facebook, friend, ding, 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 ding. All right? It's just amazing. Ego is amazing. Don't be embarrassed. Ego's amazing. I guarantee you, you take the most famous actor or actresses, they're the most beautiful prime of their lives, and they have great films, they do one bomb. They never forget it. It hurts. It hurts to look at that, to read those reviews. Wow. It's a review in a newspaper or a magazine. It has nothing to do with you. It's a magazine. But I've identified with myself as someone who doesn't fail, someone who's popular, someone who everybody accepts. And now this isn't supporting that. So now you will spend the rest of your life working to make the outside world support what you defined yourself as. Can you relate to that? And if people agree with what you said you were, they're your friends. And if people don't agree at all with what you said you were, they're your enemies. And if they really don't agree, and they tell you about it, you avoid them like the plague. I'm defining why everybody is the way it is. As people say to me sometimes, why are there wars? No, why are there not more? Everyone's at war. You're at war with everyone you meet. You're at war with everyone you know. You're trying to make sure, no, I didn't mean that. You took it the wrong way. No, go on, defend yourself. Defend what? What's there to defend? You're God looking down at a bunch of atoms. What is there to defend? But you sure feel it, don't you? That defensiveness happens like that. It's so fast you don't stand a chance. Just bam. No, I didn't say that. You know I didn't say that, even though you did. Well, I have a tape recording of what you said. Yeah, but people can dub those things. Wow. How far will you go to not have to feel that your ego got challenged? Look around. Pretty far, eh? Okay, that's what everyone's doing. That's all that's happening. You live on a plane that's run by the ego. It's third chakra. It's run by, I'm lost, and you're going to help agree that I'm found because I decided what found is. I'm telling you, if you finally gave up and decided, I can't handle this anymore, to be or not to be, Hamlet, and you stepped aside and said, just leave me alone. I realize people don't like me. It's okay. I just want to be left to my own. And somebody walks up to you and you're in that state and says, you do know that I really love you a lot. Get away from me. That hurts you as much as if you think people love you and somebody says they don't. It didn't fit your self-concept. There are people who don't want to try because they might fail. And all of a sudden they're in school and they're C students. And everyone says, you got a lot more in you and so on. No, I don't push me. And all of a sudden you take some standardized test and you get 1,600 on your SATs. You don't like that. I don't want to live up to that. I don't want to expose myself that way. Somebody told me the other day, they asked me a question, do I feel anxious or anxiety if I go to give a talk? Well, considering I've given 3 to 4 a week for 50 years, no. Okay. I don't even think about the subject I'm going to talk about. But she said it's a standard thing that people feel anxiety if they have to talk in the public. Why? Because I might fail. Because I might say something that people don't like. I might offend somebody. Oh, that's a good one. You don't offend anybody, do you? Just you've got this ego, this life you have to live that sits there and says, I need to have everybody like me. I need to have everybody agree with where I'm at, and so on. That's ego. So don't get to this egotistical stuff. Everyone's got an ego. In fact, they think they are the ego. They don't understand it. That's what it is. It's very hard to live with that. It's very, very hard to live with that. Because every moment, anything can happen at any time. Right? Like, okay, let's say you were walking through the Plaza of the Americas, and it's full with a lot of your peers and everything like that, and you had a stroke. You fell over and you drooled. How you doing? Even that, even something as intense as that, you're embarrassed. No, I don't want that to happen. Or you have a wardrobe malfunction. You die. You'd never go back there again. I want you to understand how strong the ego is. Okay, so that's why there's so much trouble. That's why there's so much suffering. That's why Buddha said, what's his first noble truth? All of life is suffering. Now you understand. He doesn't mean you broke your arm every day. He means you live with that sucker, you're suffering. Even if you succeed, you're afraid next time it won't work as well. Something will go wrong. What happens if you're one of the Beatles and you're losing your voice? Come on, you're one of the Beatles, right? I mean, the most popular people that walk the face of the earth. Yeah, but I can't sing as good, and I don't want to. Let's lip sync. All right, have we gotten home yet? It's hard to live in there with the ego. That's why life is hard. Life is not hard. You sit on a tiny little planet, spinning through space, and things are happening. That's called exciting. It's a sport, and you get to engage in it, and you get to dance with it. But if you have an ego that says, oh, no, it has to be the way I want. Why? Why does it have to be the way I want? Because you feel challenged. Your sense of self is challenged. I define myself as someone who's the best speller, and I didn't win. These kids want to kill themselves. They go into anxiety. Oh, my God. Because you spelled, you came in second. It is not because anything went wrong with the spelling. It's not because the spelling bee isn't fun. It's not because the football game is not fun. It's not because golf is not fun. They're supposed to be fun. You're in a happening place. Go to Mars. There's nothing happening. Tell me how long you do well there. So you're here on this beautiful planet having all these experiences. You're challenged. You want to be challenged. Who wants to do a sport that you always win? You're challenged. It's a sport. It's fun. It's exciting. That's why God dropped down into his video game to play. You know, in the yogic tradition, you know what this is called? God's Leela. Now, a lot of people define it as dance. No. Someone told me once that literally, as close as you can get to Sanskrit, is God's sport. He's playing a sport. Playing chess, playing poker, playing this, playing that, playing football, playing business, playing hospital, playing through all 7.5 billion of you, that one infinite, amazing consciousness is having all the experiences. And that's what's going on. But if you decide that I'm something other than that, and you of course have decided that, I'm me, and I have a way that things need to be for me to be okay, that's because you got that ego. I've defined myself that way. Now it's not easy, is it? Now it's very hard. You worry when you go to bed at night that you did something wrong and somebody won't like you and this and that and the other thing. When you wake up in the morning, you feel anxiety about what you're going to have to do. That's why. It's not because of anything in the world. It's not because of anything God did. It's because you got lost when you dropped in here and you defined yourself as this ego, and now you've defined that everything has to be that way. Okay? I don't want to go any further, because that's the fall. You fell from that garden. And what does it say when you fall from the garden? Now you will work by the sweat of your own brow to be okay. Isn't that what it says? You do, don't you? Day and night. All right. Now we only have a few minutes left, and that's all I need. Are you destined to live like that? Not a chance in the world. You're not supposed to be living like that. You do not have to live like that. Period. There's a thing called liberation. You're a jivan mukta, liberated soul. What does that mean? You can work your way back. Now you're busy working your way out. I'm out in the world making everyone and everybody be the way I need them to be and trying to hold it all together. That's because I bought into the fact that I don't have a choice. I heard if it's not and I feel good if it is, so guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to try and make everything be the way I want and make sure it isn't the way I don't want. And I'm very busy, so don't talk about meditation. I don't have time for that. And eventually you do a thing called, you wake up and you realize it's like the hamster running that wheel, man. I ain't going anywhere. Every single minute of my life, I'm still trying. It never goes anywhere. If I get what I want, I'm afraid of losing it. If I get what I want, I don't lose it. I get bored with it. Doesn't do anything for me. Everyone's clapping. They all accept me. Okay, fine. All the rock stars, everyone claps. Oh my God, they stand up, they cheer and so on. You're so bored, you go do drugs. Are you kidding me? This is the most successful you can be. And what are they doing? Stoned out of their minds. Because they can't handle it. Fear of loss, fear of failure, get bored. So basically, you wake up, and that's why you're out here instead of somewhere else, and you say, can I do something about this albatross that I have hanging on me called my ego? This thing that worries and brings me down. And yes, you can. What? Start by understanding you are not your ego. Start letting it go. Don't fight with it. Don't deny it. Don't renounce it. Don't be embarrassed by it. Just realize, there it is. Okay, what can I do? Well, you start with simple little things. It says, oh, there's George. George doesn't like me. I don't feel strong today. I don't want to see him. I'm going to go over this way. Don't. What? Don't. Just play. I'm not saying do anything major. I just said, there's somebody that you feel embarrassed to see. They had a fight last time, or they said something bad about you, right? And so you want to shy away and just walk away. You want to give in your ego. What if you didn't? Just for kicks. Not so that they like you. No, there's no motive except there's a song in the 60s. Most of you are too young. We gotta get out of this place. If it's the last thing we ever do, we gotta get out of this place. Girl, there's a better life for me and you. There is a better life, and you gotta get out of this place. You're not going to get out of it by buying into it. So you take these simple little things. There's no harm to just, you don't have to go talk to the person, but at least don't run away. For the first time in your life, dare to stand up against this and realize you, the will, the consciousness in there is stronger than anything that's in there. You are, because you're really it. You built that out of yourself. That's the masquerading self. And so you, little by little, that's what I do in the new book, Living Untethered. I tell you how to get out. I don't start with big things. Just start with little things. It's raining today, and you wanted to go camping. That's a rough life. Well, that's not a rough life. That's ridiculous. It's a good thing you have food. The fact that you want to go camping should not affect whether it's raining or not, all right? But it did affect that you got upset. Well, how about we don't give in to that? How about we sit there and look at it and say, excuse me, Miss Ego, hello, I'm here. Hi, I'm looking at you. All right? No, we're not going to do that. What are we going to do? I wanted to go camping. We're going to do a mantra. We're going to talk about how nice the rain is and how much good it does. We use affirmation, use mantra. We're going to breathe. We're going to let go of what I've always protected and defended and told everybody about. You start challenging what you bought into, chip by chip, piece by piece. You don't sit there and rip it off. You can't rip it off. Ramana said, the ego is like the skin of a snake. It has to shed naturally. You can't rip the skin off. But you can be willing to let it go. How do I know when to let it go? You'll know. It'll be in your face. It'll be causing you anxiety. It'll be causing you trouble. And you start with the small things. And you just learn to do little things. And you just keep letting go. And you'll know it's ego. And I'm telling you, it will thin out. And when it thins out, you'll be a happier person. Because you're not carrying the burden of yourself. And you don't have to make everything be the way you want. So let's say you were an A student and you got a C in a test. Ooh, no, I'm going to go argue with the teacher. No, they were wrong. The questions weren't fair. All right, go on, have fun. Or, wow, I did better on this test than anyone I ever got an A on. Why? I already knew the answers to the A ones. Now I get to learn something. I thought these were the right answers, and they weren't. Holy mackerel. All of a sudden, school's worth going to. You start doing that. You start working with yourself. You raise yourself. If you do this every minute of every day, little by little, you're going to be happier. Of course you'll be happier. I was just happier getting a C than I was when I bothered myself about it, right? So instead of feeling guilty, just do it with everything. Just do it. Work with yourself. Raise yourself. Work with yourself. And you will start to get to a point, and come visit me when you do, and they write me all the time from all over the world. And who writes to an author? I never heard of such a thing. We get so many emails, can't even keep up with them. And almost every one of them is just saying, you're right, it happened. Thank you. How can I? What happened? I started feeling this joy. Of course you did. You don't have to get rid of the ego. You just have to stop looking at it. You're the consciousness that's staring at the dirtiest part of your being. Why? Just look at a mantra. You're going to understand, if you stare at the point between your eyebrows, you'll become enlightened. He says, take your attention, fix it at the point between your eyebrows, and never take it off. Of course, you can't do that. But if you could do that, then you're not staring at your stuff, and it falls off. It only stays there because you're feeding it. So work with yourself, raise yourself, and then you're going to start to realize there is joy in there. And you start to feel that. And then at some point, you realize this is what it's all about. Why? Because everything I was doing to get acceptance and love and money was so it would bring me one moment of that joy. Now I found the source of the joy. This is where it was always coming from. Where does love come from? It doesn't come from the other person. The other person's opening you. You trust them. You like what they look like. They're going to take care of you. They want what you want. So you open. And when you open, this energy flows. But the energy is coming from inside. Find the source. I'd like to find the source of love, the source of joy, the source of ecstasy, the source of consciousness is God. Now we've worked our way back up. Now you're going in the opposite direction. We've got to find our way back to the garden. That's how you find your way back to the garden. All right. Work on these things. Now you understand the roadmap. We've talked about it, right? Work on it. Jai Gurudev.